How is everybody doing? Welcome again. I am your host, Manny Man. I'm here at my study in good old Alabama. And here we are for another edition of DoKFreS. Again, like, subscribe, share. This is going to be a part 2. Like I said, I don't know how many parts I'm going to get to this, but my sister, Crystal Pardue, I hope I said her last name right. Again, congratulations, sis. She hooked me on some information. I think the biggest thing of talking about polygamy in America is that everybody, like I said, everybody has their own rationales. For the most part, I think all the millennials seem to have a better grasp. When I chose this life, it was very new, and the groups out there were very small and very compartmentalized. But there was never any talk of actually making this legal. And even as my sis Crystal said, she actually found a group, and I'm going to get more on that in part 3. So there's definitely a part 3, maybe up to 5 parts, that they have things that they can make things legal. And I think the biggest thing why individuals, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the women and the brothers like myself who actually want to have a family, there's a lot of fallacy going on. I still see. It's always saying, imagine having 2 women and no jealousy, and everybody has 3 incomes and having all this streams of revenue. Even though the fact of the matter is that the actual individual net worth of African Americans is less than their counterparts. So to sell that fantasy as a man, that's very disingenuous. You should be able to stand on your own. And I'm not going to say, oh, you pay all the bills. Yes, you should be able to handle the bills. However, if these women are working, there should be some logic. Things can be debated. Like I said, people, in DoKFreS, this is part 2 on polygamy in America. Like, share, subscribe, and please, I implore you all, add your comments. I need to hear these comments. I definitely feel that this is a viable option in America. I'm going to speak mainly as a man of African descent, that our women are always saying they're the least protected. So I think when a lot of men keep saying they're trying to find their queens, they go under the auspices of this fantasy of let's have these incomes and do all this stuff. And then I hear about asset management. I think the men need to go in there, and they want the men to be submissive. They need to pretty much, you have to submit something for the women to get behind. You have to submit that you are a good provider, and not just financially. It's a proof also that, unfortunately, that the average or African American women are doing better than us, educational wise and occupational wise. So the thing is, we need to be able to lead from role model behavior. It can get tricky, so I'm not going to get too much. I just want to make sure I put some content out because, again, I thought I put a couple of things out last week, but life happened, and thankfully things are looking like I could be able to, have some semblance of structure that I can have back in my life, because my life was chaotic when I was taking care of family duties, and my partner, who was having a lot of health issues. God should send some prayers for her quick and speedy recovery. I'd appreciate it. So, that being said, it's this group called Arna, I believe. I don't have it pulled up yet, but they actually have assets to be able to help cover. I don't know when they say tribal, is it just more a ethnic African thing, or is it open to everybody? But I think the biggest thing is why I would like this to be legal is we have to stop saying it's a lifestyle. And we need to look at this as your life. That's my perception. People can say, screw you. You're right. That's why I raised my hand a number of times and served for 20 plus years, 21 years, for you can have the right to do whatever you want to do. I just feel for the greater good, which I don't think too many Americans are inclined to do that, is do things that will benefit the greater good. But this should be one of them. And I've always tried to find answers and try to find like-minded people who want to sit down and talk with me on how we can best present this in a way to communities. I will first say communities of African descent, and maybe eventually, and of course, eventually nationwide. I don't really see that out there. I'm not trying to see any man, squeezing butts and all that stuff like that. I know when I had my relationships, we did walk out and we held hands. There was nothing crazy we did. People were looking like I was some pimp. But when I do see people who actually have their pair, when that man has their pairs, there's always these sexual poses. And nobody does that in monogamy. Why put your plural wives like that? I think that's just not a good look. So just take regular pictures. Hey, the three of us, here we are. And actually say, hey, we're a regular family. We're paying bills and taking care of stuff. My thing is, I am a Gen Xer. So obviously, I'm not worried about kids. But are a lot of middle-aged women left out here, 44 up? I think, depending on what you look on the internet, 80, 81 is that back end of Gen X. I don't get caught up over it. But basically, you have a lot of middle-aged women who are basically 45 and above. We'll say 45 and up. Have that challenge because the variety of reasons men want younger women. I have zero desire to test my virility to be with a younger woman. The one thing is, eventually, they're going to take their prophylactic off, and you probably get pregnant. And I've only changed my nieces and my granddaughter's diapers a combined 3 times. I am not trying to do that in my late 50s for a couple of years in potty training. I'm not. So I have no issue with my fellow mature age men who wish to have a young person. I've seen guys with literal 20 age differences. For me, I couldn't with a straight face bring a young lady that literally might be who's literally a couple of grades ahead of my son and daughters, or a couple of grades. Yeah, I said this is your new stepmother, especially when my children's mothers are my age and much older, and my ex-wife is older than me. Looks really crazy to bring somebody literally in the same age group as my children. Say, yeah, this is your new stepmother. I wouldn't want that awkwardness, so not want to have children and respect for my adult children. How did I look? Like I said, I already have my son remarried, and I already have teenage grandchildren. Bonus grandchildren. So I don't think there's a name of step grandchildren. They're my grandchildren. So, so I think it's very important if the poly community, if that is the general term everybody goes. For me, I'm a polygynist. I need multiple spouses. I need to protect them. I need women to be protected because we are seeing not just natural disasters, but man-made disasters of food shortages and, and stuff like that, or just being safe. Or women need to be safe. That man should be creating a space to the women should be able to have a basic knowledge of, unarmed defense and a couple of weapons, a taser, some mace, and, as they say, a pew-pew. And that man, that's his job, as well as when he's not around, have security cameras and stuff and just make sure the area. So I think a lot gets lost when I see so much in these poly groups where the vast majority of stuff is talked about sex and dynamic as opposed to how to effectively. It's like I'll see one thing like, how can you improve a poly relationship? But then like the next 5 posts in that same Facebook group will be sexually oriented, So we need to have more discussions. I know a guy did actually have a digital Facebook platform and I joined it. I don't remember if he said that they do actually do virtual meetups. I gotta find that out because I want to do that. But I generally would like to sit down with people and us create an agenda. Again, I have seen really straight biblical polygamy when I first chose this life for myself and how I was going to be as a polygamist, to now it is the acronyms past polygamy, where again the 3 subsets of polygamy is polygyny, one man, multiple wives; polyamory, one woman, multiple husbands; and polyamory, which is multiple romantic connections. I can't speak on that because 2 and 3 I would never wish to practice. So another thing. So that being said, I think the men need to go online and instead of saying, I need to find my women, discuss men, what can we do or how can we present ourselves to gain women's favor, that they be receptive to, they see my picture and this is what I'm saying, like, oh wow, this seems like a man that truly wishes to be a leader and provider of the family. Not worry about how women look and they gotta have a bad body and all this other stuff, So that's what I think needs to happen. As you need to take this as just an extension of monogamy. Men, we need to be accountable. Now, I'm not saying that women haven't dropped the ball in my many years. I have been in a number of plural relationships, and there were times I was close. I thought, actually went and went on a couple of family vacations. I fully funded them, paid for more than a couple of passports, and went on this vacation with the women and think everything is good, and it just goes south, So that always hurt me and made it feel like, gosh, when am I going to get some leeway? But I did not lose focus, and I stood strong. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that we as the men who wish this life, we genuinely need to not worry about the sexual thing about that. Like I just saw something about without sex, I'm just paraphrasing, but how important something like that. And I guess it was kind of finality. I guess if the person doesn't want to give sex or they couldn't have sex, I don't know. I glazed at it, but individuals, so we're really like, if I can't have sex, forget the relationship. And I'm thinking, like, again, it was a very open-ended question. What was the context when sex stopped? Was the person raped? The person have an illness? So I think serious questions, whether it's sexual or not, need to be relayed in a rational context that people will be able to answer effectively. And it doesn't seem like everybody just trying to have a sex fest, because that's, from my perception, that that's what I have definitely probably been in the 18 years as a polygynous man. I'm actually being neutral, I would say. Probably over 100 different poly groups. And there's always such crazy dynamics. But out of all those groups, nobody wanted to have an actual symposium level meeting. Most don't have meetings. And if they do, it's like meet and greets that, if there are people that do come to these meet and greets, the comments are already presented in a way like it's going to be a party, going to be a freak fest. I can sit here and I won't be paraphrasing, just get ready to meet and stuff, meet my other halves and get this night started, man, and meet some women, and pop it. Yeah, it was just, yeah. And I'm just like, there were no looking forward to meeting with people and discussing family dynamics. Everything was about, oh yeah, it's gonna be on and popping. I hope there'll be a lot of fine women there, and it was just more like a party. So this is already a challenge we should not, individually and cumulatively as a community, no matter how you wish to have your dynamic. And my sis, she definitely seems to have her stuff squared away. I have a thing, but a lot of our ideas are about the same, about having assets protected and stuff like that. But again, she's younger, and she's probably, there is a big gap between Gen X's, millennials, and the Gen Zers. We just weren't on computers. Like, I know as a Gen Xer, when computer classes started coming out, computer classes were pretty much for the smart kids. It was a luxury privilege. It was a privilege to go to computer class and to learn DOS and word processing and all that stuff. It was a benefit. So I think a lot of us Gen Xers just don't search the internet that way. We're just still navigating it, and we're not as savvy. So again, this group that my little sister Chris were talking to me about, oh wow, that's cool. So definitely I'm going to look into that, and hopefully I can bring more knowledge to everybody. So with that being said, everybody, I hope that I shared some knowledge, and then that some of my words resonated. Again, guys, please hit that like button. That subscribe, hell, hit that don't like. But I beg you, please, please, please comment. I will not know how to address this without knowing how you guys feel. So with that being said, I thank you all for joining me on this episode of DoKFreS. I'm pretty sure somebody will ask me what that means, and I will explain that if I have somebody ask me. A couple of my things have meanings. KWAM, Profile PT has a meaning. The KWAM actually has a meaning. And I think when I share that, everybody's going to have a good laugh. You know, the DoKFreS has a meaning. Of course, my holistic realm site, it's about health. But again, thank you everybody for joining me for this episode. I will also start putting out stuff on DoKFreS about other things, socially and culturally. Not just culture as a man of color, because I actually, as of, I've always kept back and forth, but I have a pretty decent Celtic culture in my bloodline, like 12%. So I embrace that, and I have a kill tone and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm proud of that. But I'm also proud of my African heritage. I have a number of African suits as well. But I'll get more into that as well. So everybody, thank you for your time. You guys have a great day. Have a great week. And talk with you soon. Cheers.